The handcuffs were cold, metallic, and utterly final. I hadn't seen them yet, but I could hear the snap. The distinct, chilling sound of Officer Cole's fingers working the ratchet on his belt, preparing to detain me. Not in a dark alley. Not on a highway median. But here, in the bright, pine-scented sun of the Maple Street Elementary School parking lot, surrounded by minivans and the chirping sound of children's laughter. This was the moment. The exact second the entire polished facade of my life. Judge Elias Thorne, Senior Circuit Judge, 20 years of absolute, unassailable professional integrity, was about to shatter into a million pieces. And the only thing between me and a catastrophic, potentially lethal arrest was a single perfect lie Cole had just shouted into his radio. I was parked waiting for my daughter, Maya, in my custom dark silver sedan, the only genuine luxury I allowed myself. It was 3:17 p.m. The 3 minutes between the dismissal bell and the arrival of the police cruiser had been my sanctuary. Now the sedan was a target, and I was the suspect. Officer Gavin Cole, the kind of patrol veteran whose aggressive reputation preceded him like bad weather, had parked his cruiser diagonally, deliberately blocking my exit, turning this peaceful scene into a sudden crime scene. He stepped out, his gaze narrowing at the sight of a black man alone in a vehicle that cost more than most of the homes in the entire vicinity. The assumption was palpable. I didn't belong to this car, and therefore, I didn't belong here. He didn't greet me. He didn't ask about a violation. He just stared at the vehicle, then back at me, shaking his head slowly, the disdain visible. He saw an equation he couldn't solve. Expensive car plus black man equals inherent criminality. "Sir, step away from the vehicle," he commanded, his voice sharp enough to draw the attention of nearby parents. I paused, resting my tablet meticulously on the passenger seat. I ensured every movement was slow, visible, non-threatening. I was already acting like a defendant. "Is there a problem, officer? I am legally parked in the parent waiting zone." He didn't answer. He circled my sedan like a predator, his palm briefly touching the window, checking the plates. The sheer, unwarranted possessiveness of the gesture sent a cold spike of adrenaline through me. "This is how it starts," the judge and me whispered, recalling years of testimony. "With a small invasion. I'm going to need you to keep your hands visible," Cole added, his voice louder now, demanding compliance. "We've had reports of a vehicle matching this description involved in a high-value property theft earlier today." I took a deep, steadying breath. The opening lie. The manufactured justification. "This vehicle, officer? I assure you." He cut me off, his voice dripping with inherent, unchallenged bias. "Where'd you get this car, son? Who loaned it to you? We talking about a quick flip or a rental?" The casual use of son. The complete dismissal of my implied status. I recognized that tone instantly. The sound of systemic prejudice solidified by the unquestioned power of the badge. I answered with the quiet weight of unassailable fact, trying to de-escalate with sheer information. "I purchased it 3 years ago, new, registered entirely in my name. The insurance paperwork is in the center console." "Is that so?" Cole tilted his head, clearly unconvinced. "Mind if I check the glove box? Just verify that claim." My professional instinct kicked in. I maintained eye contact. "Officer, I am Judge Elias Thorne. Before you proceed, I must ask, do you have a reasonable, articulable suspicion that I have committed a crime or probable cause to search my vehicle?" Cole smirked, that ugly, dismissive gesture that spoke volumes. "Yeah, I got probable cause. You're standing next to a car that doesn't belong to you. That's my probable cause right there. Admitted profiling. Documented." I slowly uncrossed my arms. The bullying was intentional. A kindergarten teacher, Ms. Evans, who had just stepped out of the building, paused her phone call nearby. Her silent witness only seemed to fuel Cole's aggression. He stepped closer, invading my personal space. "I'm going to need your identification now." I nodded, reaching carefully for my wallet. "I am complying, officer. I am not refusing. But I require an answer. What is the specific, verifiable reason for this detainment and ID request?" "Because," Cole snapped, leaning in, his face inches from mine. "This vehicle was reported stolen exactly 12 minutes ago from the Meridian District. Now give me the ID." My eyes narrowed. 12 minutes ago, I was deep in legal minutiae. "Who filed that report, officer?" Can you provide the incident number or the reporting party? My voice dropped an octave, carrying the latent, unacknowledged weight of my professional authority. Cole didn't answer. He placed a possessive hand on the driver's side door handle and tugged violently. Unlock it now. I'm investigating a felony. No, I replied firmly, drawing the line of constitutional defense. You have just admitted to profiling, and you have failed to provide any verifiable evidence of a stolen vehicle report. You do not have the right to search my property. The tension thickened, suffocating the quiet atmosphere. Two other parents, sensing the drama, raised their phones. Cole noticed, but his aggression only intensified, fueled by the witnesses. The decision to defy him was not made lightly. It was a calculus performed in the millisecond between the officer's command and my response, a cold, analytical process honed by presiding over thousands of Fourth and 14th Amendment cases. The man wanted to simply unlock the door, show the papers, and escape this humiliating ordeal before Maya stepped outside. The judge knew that submitting to an unlawful command, even for convenience, validated the profiling, sacrificing the constitutional principles I was sworn to protect. If I, a federal judge, surrendered my rights out of fear, what hope did any other citizen have? I could feel the heat radiating off Cole's uniform. He was volatile, pushing for a reaction. My continued calm was an attack on his authority, a silent, unforgivable refusal to play the role of the frightened suspect. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, buddy, Cole warned, his hand twitching near his holster. He wasn't a law enforcer right now. He was a bully, backed by the implicit threat of lethal force. I held his stare. My way is the legal way, officer. Your way involves violating my rights, escalating a stop into an unlawful detention. I suggest you choose your next words carefully, because they are being recorded. My statement about the recording was a test. A professional officer would acknowledge the body cam and temper his speech. Cole smirked. I know what's recording, buddy. And what's recording is a man who is obstructing a felony investigation. Last chance. Unlock the car. I shook my head once, absolute and firm. You have failed to establish probable cause. This is an unlawful detention. And then came the calculated, catastrophic mistake, the point of no return. Cole thumbed the radio clipped to his shoulder. He did not verify the stolen vehicle report. He chose outright fabrication. Dispatch, this is Unit 42. Confirming a suspected stolen vehicle at Maple Street Elementary Pickup Zone. Request immediate backup, Code 3. Driver is a black male. Suspect is refusing identification, uncooperative, and obstructing an active felony recovery. Send units with appropriate caution. Code 3. Lights and sirens. Extreme caution. The lie was terrifyingly steady, a scripted performance designed to trigger a high-risk, high-adrenaline response from the responding officers. He wasn't just lying. He was manufacturing a scenario that required the next officers to arrive expecting a dangerous, armed felony suspect. The stakes had just gone from constitutional violation to potential fatality, now involving an entire precinct. The judge immediately logged the crimes: falsifying a police report, official misconduct, and reckless endangerment. My voice remained steady, despite the cold not tightening in my stomach. Officer Cole, you have just lied into your radio, I stated, my voice cutting through his posturing. That action is a felony. I am asking you again, what specific, verifiable evidence makes you think this vehicle is stolen? He circled my sedan, tapping the roof. It's called high crime perception, buddy. People don't just drive cars like this around here, unless something's off. That is the definition of profiling, officer, I replied, the legal admission meticulously documented. And it is now time-stamped on your body camera, which you activated only after initiating the stop. He ignored me, snatching my ID wallet when I held it out again. He flipped it open. I saw the deep vein of doubt flicker in his eyes when he saw the name Honorable Elias Thorne and the federal seal. He hesitated, calculating. But prejudice won. He handed the ID back as if it were a generic library card. Still doesn't mean the car is yours, Mr. Thorne. Show me the papers, or we wait for backup. Your title means nothing here. The wail of the siren grew louder, a chilling counterpoint to the distant sound of the dismissal bell ringing inside the school. The arrival of backup was no longer a possibility. It was an imminent, dangerous reality. The man wanted to scream, to reveal his badge, to end the threat before his daughter walked out. The judge knew the timing had to be precise. Revealing my status too soon would give Cole an escape route. He could claim he was misinformed. Revealing it too late, after the second officer was keyed up on a false felony alert, could lead to disaster. The second cruiser, driven by a younger, stockier officer named Patrolman Keller, skidded into the lot, lights flashing, tires kicking up gravel. Keller approached quickly, his hand already on his weapon, his expression taut with the expectation of a dangerous encounter. Cole's false report had worked perfectly. "What's the situation, 42? Keller demanded, his voice keyed up. "Felony theft suspect," Cole lied again, directly to his colleague, cementing the false narrative. "Driver is uncooperative and refusing to verify ownership. We need to detain him now." I turned toward Patrolman Keller, my voice now carrying the steady, unwavering authority of the bench, cutting through the manufactured chaos. "Officer, I am Judge Elias Thorne. I provided identification. I offered paperwork. Officer Cole has falsely reported a felony stop and is attempting an unlawful, aggressive detention without probable cause. Your partner is fabricating evidence on a police radio, endangering everyone in this school zone." Keller looked at Cole, then at my luxury sedan, then back at me. His expression was a confusing mix of confusion and default loyalty. He moved immediately to Cole's side. Two officers, two loaded weapons, one shared false and lethal reality. "Sir," Keller said firmly, echoing his partner. "Step away from the car. We need to verify the report." "I am away," I answered. "What more do you need?" Officer Cole is reaching for his cuffs. Cole seized the moment of distraction, his hands snatching the cuffs from his belt. "We need you detained until we verify ownership. You are resisting." The word detained was the final declaration of war. My jaw tightened. "You have no grounds to detain me. This is the school pickup line. And I am not resisting. I am standing still and stating my rights." As Cole lunged for my wrist, I performed the final, controlled, theatrical move. I reached into my inner coat pocket, slow and controlled, and pulled out my official Federal Circuit Court ID case. I opened it, holding it out squarely between them. The gold emblem glinted beneath the afternoon light, the indisputable seal of the United States Federal Courts. Patrolman Keller saw it first. His movement froze, his posture straightening instantly. Cole glanced at the ID, and for the first time, his aggressive, manufactured confidence utterly collapsed. The badge inside carried the title that overrode all his assumptions, all his prejudice, all his manufactured lies. Honorable Elias Thorne, Senior Circuit Judge, United States Federal Court. Cole stopped mid-lunge, the cuffs dangling from his fingers. The body cam captured the profound, visible tremor in his hands. The realization of the career-ending, criminal nature of his actions, the false Code 3 report, the attempted battery on a federal officer, crashed down on him. You're a judge," Cole stammered, the aggression instantly replaced by pure, cold panic. I didn't move the badge. "And you, Officer Cole, have violated multiple federal statutes and constitutional rights on camera, including the attempted unlawful detention of a federal officer. All of this has been recorded by your own camera and by multiple witnesses." The silence that followed was heavy, absolute, and thick with the sound of Cole's breathing. It was the sound of a system imploding on itself. The weight of the federal seal was an insurmountable obstacle. A legal fortress Cole had just aggressively attempted to breach. Keller, his panic now turning to self-preservation, finally spoke. "Sir, we honestly didn't know. We apologize, Judge. You did not need to know my title to treat me lawfully," I replied, the words a hammer blow delivered with surgical precision. "You needed to treat me with the basic respect and adherence to procedure that the Constitution demands of your office. Your partner manufactured a Code 3 emergency, endangering everyone here, solely to justify his racial profiling." I closed my ID wallet. The moment of theatrical display was over. "You may now call your supervisor and inform them of the situation. I expect to leave now without further harassment or threat of force." Cole swallowed hard, his face pale and slick with sweat. He was no longer the aggressive officer. He was a terrified man. "We were just following up on a report." "No," I replied, my tone razor-sharp. "You created a crime where none existed. Your own body camera will confirm the exact moment you lied into your radio and committed misconduct. Now, call your lieutenant. Immediately. I want a supervisor present to document your false report." The small crowd of witnesses, sensing the absolute victory, murmured approval. The man who had been recording stepped closer. "I got everything, Judge. Audio and video. High definition." I nodded my thanks. The officers backed away, the distance between us now a chasm of professional and legal failure. With slow, deliberate movements, I returned to my sedan, opened the door, and produced the registration and insurance paperwork, the documents I had offered minutes earlier. I handed them to Patrolman Keller, deliberately bypassing Cole. "Verify it now. And then advise your supervisor that I will be filing a formal complaint and pursuing legal action for civil rights violations and attempted criminal battery. Every second of this encounter will be meticulously reviewed in federal court." Keller scanned the documents. His face confirmed the lie instantly. "Everything's valid, Judge." I didn't smile, didn't celebrate, didn't gloat. I simply stated, "I know. Now, you need to understand the gravity of your partner's actions. He didn't just detain a judge. He committed a federal offense based on nothing but prejudice." Cole avoided eye contact, his entire body language speaking of crushing defeat. "You're free to go." I stared at him for a moment, engraving the lesson. "Officer Cole, you have disgraced your badge. I advise you to document your actions tonight truthfully. You will be asked to repeat them under oath, and you will be cross-examined against your body camera and the witness footage. I will ensure accountability for every lie spoken into that radio." I stepped into my sedan and closed the door. The engine hummed to life, a deep, powerful sound of restored control. The crowd watched silently as I drove away. My daughter, Maya, emerged moments later, oblivious to the drama, running happily toward the empty space where my car had been. The incident was over, but the reckoning had just begun. The next morning, the witness footage, combined with the legally obtained body cam recording, did not just spread, it became a global headline. News anchors replayed the confrontation frame by frame, dissecting Officer Cole's catastrophic false report and comparing his direct lie into the radio against the time-stamped reality. The outrage was unprecedented, amplified by the juxtaposition of a school zone and a federal judge. Civil rights attorneys, community leaders, and the state judicial board all demanded immediate, public accountability. Within 48 hours, an official internal affairs investigation into Officer Gavin Cole and Patrolman Keller was opened. The investigation dug deep, revealing a clear, documented pattern. Multiple past complaints, unreported stops, and systemic accusations of targeting drivers who didn't fit the profile of high-value vehicle owners. Cole's history was a litany of unpunished aggression. 5 days after the incident, I filed the lawsuit. It was not a plea for justice. It was a devastating legal declaration. $19.4 million for unlawful detention, racial profiling, intentional infliction of emotional distress, attempted battery under color of law, and the reckless endangerment of citizens in a school zone. The evidence was indisputable. For cameras, multiple eyewitnesses, and the officer's own words recorded at the exact moment he invented a felony theft report. The city's attorneys and the police union prepared for a long, expensive legal battle, relying on qualified immunity. But when they saw the footage, when they saw the judge's documents already in his possession, when they saw the calculated escalation into a false Code 3 report, the defense collapsed. Cole's actions were found to be malicious, willful, and outside the scope of protected employment. Fighting was no longer an option. The risk of punitive damages was existential. 3 months later, the department settled for a record sum, precisely $19.4 million. Officer Cole was terminated for gross misconduct, his pension benefits severely curtailed, and he was banned from ever seeking law enforcement employment in the state. Patrolman Keller was placed on disciplinary leave and mandated to retrain the entire division on constitutional rights, implicit bias, and the proper procedure for Code 3 escalations. The department also enacted the Judge Thorne Protocol, mandating immediate supervisory review for any officer initiating a high-risk felony stop based solely on vehicle type or driver demographics. This ensured that no officer could manufacture a Code 3 emergency with impunity again. The school, recognizing the gravity of the incident, installed highly visible, high-definition surveillance cameras pointing directly at the parent waiting zone, with a permanent sign noting that the area was monitored for community integrity and safety. I returned to the bench quietly, professionally. No dramatic interviews, no victory speeches. I simply walked back into my courtroom with the same calm, quiet authority I had before the incident. Except now, I carried something far more powerful than anger. I carried proof. Proof that even in a routine moment, picking up your child from school, bias can turn ordinary life into danger. Proof that documentation saves lives. Proof that standing firm, even in fear, can change an entire system. In the final public report documenting the settlement and the subsequent reforms, I issued one sentence that summed up everything the confrontation had revealed. I wasn't looking for a fight that day. I was only looking for the respect that every law-abiding citizen is owed. My voice didn't shake. My expression didn't harden. I simply spoke the truth that millions had now seen for themselves. And that truth continues to force departments across the region to rebuild, retrain, and rethink what justice looks like long after the settlement was paid. Because sometimes, the most powerful courtroom in the world is a school parking lot, lit by the late afternoon sun, and captured by a camera that refuses to blink.